Hello, I'm Bretton, one of our MCAT tutors here at Inspire Advantage, where we help students get into med school and other professional programs. Welcome back to part 2 of our discussion on social stratification and inequality. In this section, we'll delve into social capital, meritocracy, social mobility, poverty, relative deprivation theory, social reproduction, social exclusion, spatial inequality, and globalization. Let's continue our exploration of these important concepts for understanding the complexities of social hierarchies and their impact on individuals and communities, as well as, most importantly, crushing the psycho section of that MCAT, beginning with social capital. This refers to the benefits provided by social networks, or the investments people make into their society in return for rewards. These examples can be tangible, such as job opportunities, or the intangible, like emotional support. For example, a person with strong connections in their community may have better access to job opportunities or assistance in times of need. Next, we want to talk about what a meritocracy is. A meritocracy is a system where advancement up the social ladder is based on intellectual talent and achievement. In a meritocratic society, individuals are rewarded for their hard work, skills, and accomplishments. For instance, someone from a low-income background who excels academically might receive a scholarship to attend a prestigious university, leading to better career prospects and social mobility. Maybe what you're doing now, studying for the MCAT. Speaking of social mobility, this allows individuals to acquire higher-level employment opportunities by achieving required credentials and experience. This can lead to upward or downward movement within the social hierarchy. For example, the child of a factory worker who pursues higher education and becomes a successful doctor experiences upward social mobility. Where on the flip side, if you had a king who became ousted and became a peasant, that would be downward social mobility. And if you go far enough down social mobility ladder, you'll end up in poverty. Poverty is defined as a lack of sufficient resources to meet basic needs. And there are two types of poverty the MCAT loves to test you on. The first is absolute poverty. And this is what you probably think of as poverty. It's when someone's starving, homeless, they aren't meeting their basic life necessities, food, shelter, and healthcare. And then, sometimes thought of less often, we have relative poverty. This exists when an individual is considered poor compared to the larger population. For example, anyone who earns less than 60% of the median income may be considered relatively poor. This measure is relative to the population and not based on fixed numerical values. For instance, the relative poverty threshold in America is much higher than it is in a third world country. Keeping with the same theme of relative poverty is relative deprivation theory. This theory posits that people seek to acquire something that others possess and which they believe that they should have too. They may not necessarily be poor, but they may perceive that they are lacking resources or money compared to someone else. For example, an individual living in a middle-class neighborhood might feel deprived when they compare themselves to their wealthier neighbors, even if they're not experiencing poverty. Like in this example here. So I have someone in a normal house separated by a fence with their neighbor who has a castle. The guys in the house are like, oh my gosh, we're so poor. This sucks. I want a castle. I want what my neighbors have. It's kind of a keeping up with the Johnsons type scenario. Then moving on to social reproduction. This refers to the passing on of social inequality, especially poverty, from one generation to the next. For example, children born to poor parents with low education will probably be poor themselves and are more likely to pass on their poverty to grandkids, their own kids, and the cycle perpetuates, not ending. But this can also happen on the higher end of the social inequality ladder, where rich parents might have rich kids, and those rich kids will go on to have rich grandkids, perpetuating the cycle of social reproduction and inequality. And this can eventually lead to something called social exclusion, which is a sense of powerlessness when individuals feel alienated from society. This can result from factors such as unemployment, discrimination, or lack of access to resources. For example, a person with this disability might experience social exclusion if they face barriers to accessing education, employment, or social activities. Then we're almost there with spatial inequality. Spatial inequality refers to social stratification across territories, such as differences in income, education, or healthcare, access between urban and rural areas, or between different neighborhoods within a city. For example, individuals living in a low-income urban neighborhood may have limited access to quality schools, healthcare facilities, and safe recreational spaces, compared with those living in the Wealthier neighborhoods, which you can see they have a pool and a couple tennis courts. And to end this video, we're going to talk about globalization, the force sweeping the world. This is the process of integrating one's economy with foreign societies. While globalization can lead to the spreading of ideas, goods, and services, it has also led to increased poverty in some areas as production shifts to cheaper labor markets. For example, the outsourcing of manufacturing jobs from developed countries to countries with lower labor costs has resulted in job losses and economic hardships for workers in those developed countries. Conversely, workers in developing countries may experience increased job opportunities, but often face poor working conditions and low wages. In our exploration of social stratification and inequality, we have covered essential concepts that help us understand the complexities of social hierarchies and their impact on individuals and communities. As aspiring medical professionals, it's crucial to recognize the diverse backgrounds and experiences of our patients and to provide compassionate, informed care. Also, it's important to crush the psych-soc section. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.